Hello, and thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Reverend JR, and today we're going to take a look at and respond to the points contained within this video. I'm going to do my best to represent the actual arguments presented as they are presented here, not necessarily as they are presented in the case to which it is referring. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about cake.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm the activist mommy.
Hello, activist mommy. I am definitely not a mallard.
So a private business owner refuses to bake a same-sex wedding cake because it violates his conscience. And now the couple is claiming they are victims of discrimination.
That's correct. What we have here is a man who bakes wedding cakes all the time for many different sorts of people, including homosexuals who happen to buy his pre-made wedding cakes. But for some reason, when someone asks him to bake a wedding cake, and they are a gay couple, he will not sell them one, except that he routinely does this. So yes, there is a reason for this couple to believe the discrimination may be happening to them, regardless of how you feel about the issue of same-sex marriage.
Seriously?
There's nothing to laugh at. 9 of the greatest legal minds our country can find have not decided yet how this case should be. And in your simple worldview, it's just something to laugh at. Maybe it's nervous laughter. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Otherwise, you look like a jackass.
Are we really gonna whine about this, people?
Herder, passive-aggressive virtue signal. You know, dismissing someone based on the fact that you disagree with them by calling their argument petty is really silly. You know, people should just be allowed to get abortions. Are you really going to whine about it when they get them? One could make a similar argument, I guess. Come on, Christians. You don't need to say prayers in school. Are you really going to complain about this? Do you see how trivial and stupid that sounds? I hope you do.
Look, I've got a birthday cake here for you guys. I'm glad to sell you this and these lovely cupcakes. And oh, what about a Mother's Day cake to give to your mom? She'll love it.
All right. So let's say someone comes up to you and says they'd like to buy 2 of those Mother's Day cakes because they have 2 mothers. Are you going to sell them 2 of them or not? Let's say you're short 1, and that's why they're asking you. They need 2, and you only have 1 on display. Since a person typically has a mother and a father, are you going to make them a second one so both of their mothers can have one? And if you would, do you understand why this shoots your entire argument in the foot?
And look, I even baked a rainbow cake because we know how Christians love God's rainbow.
So what you're saying is, if the man sincerely believes that homosexuality is an abomination, that he should not actually be serving those cakes to anyone who is homosexual, because he is supporting their lifestyle by doing so, whether he intends to or not. I wonder how much your God cares, whether or not you think his rules are stupid. Like 1 Timothy 2:12, that says a woman should not teach. You reckon your God doesn't care about that one anymore? He just put it in there for shits and giggles? And if you don't believe that he is actually God, why should I? You're the one with the deeply held belief that you don't actually hold. But that's not really the subject of this video, so let's move on.
Jack Phillips for years has served homosexuals for all types of special occasions.
You see, here's the part where you sound like a troll. 'Cause you tell me he has absolutely no problem selling to homosexuals. But then you turn around and tell me he has a problem selling to homosexuals. And I'm really curious how you're going to use this point to further either side of this argument.
But when this couple targeted Jack Phillips,
What you mean to say is, when a couple gay guys went to buy a cake from a guy who routinely bakes cakes for gay guys, by your own admission,
to custom create their same-sex wedding cake,
and they want a wedding cake just the same as Jack bakes all the time, again, by your own admission,
Jack said he was sorry he couldn't do it.
Jack then says, "I'm sorry, I can't bake you a cake of the style I bake all the time because you're gay. Even though I bake wedding cakes that gay people use all the time, I will not bake you a wedding cake because you're gay, even though I do it all the time. Because you're gay, even though I do this routinely." Do you see why this doesn't make sense or not?
You see, Jack doesn't believe in celebrating same-sex weddings.
See, celebrate's a weird word. They didn't ask him to come to the party any more than anyone who has bought any cake off of any of his shelves has done. He isn't celebrating with the people who just buy a ready-made cake, and he's not celebrating with these people either. Unless you're saying he endorses the actions of anyone who buys any one of his other cakes, which again kinda shoots your argument in the foot.
Because of his deeply held religious beliefs.
So, his religious beliefs are deeply held enough that he will sell a gay person a cake off of his shelf. But he will not sell a gay person a cake if he knows a gay person is buying it. Interesting. That's usually called, there's a word for it. It starts with a D. It's like a bunch of letters long. Discrimination, that's right.
Now, rather than be decent human beings and go order their cake down the road at another bakery.
So just remember, when you want your 10 Commandments in the courthouse and the government says no, just be a decent person and remove it.
This couple has bullied and sued Jack Phillips for 5 years, causing him to lose 40% of his business.
You know, that's right. He could have just baked the cake, gone about his business, but instead he decided to let the entire world know that he's not baking cakes for gay people anymore, and they're not welcome in his establishment. You pretend this is bullying, but it's not. This is a landmark case the Supreme Court justices are deciding, and the fact that it takes 5 years is just how the law works. But either way, you have to be the victim here, right? You can't understand how someone other than a Christian might be the victim, can you? Are you borrowing that from another group of people, or no, that's a different video.
The Colorado Civil Rights Commission ruled that Jack Phillips could no longer create wedding cakes and that he had to provide for his employees gay-friendly re-education.
You see, here's the thing though. If they had walked in and bought a regular cake, he would have sold it to them. And if somebody else wants a wedding cake who is not gay, he will custom make it for them. But here is a person who could otherwise buy a cake in his shop who cannot do so because they are gay. And the only reason they cannot do so is because they are gay. Do you understand why that sounds like discrimination?
Are you even kidding me? These homosexuals aren't victims. They're bullies. Jack is the victim. These guys are activists with a political agenda who found a Christian baker with enough courage to say no to their bully tactics.
No. These were people who went to a cake shop to buy a cake from a man who will sell a cake to anyone unless he knows they're gay. Your representation of the argument is incorrect.
This is forced participation by our government in speech and activities that someone finds morally unconscionable.
No, the government is not forcing him to bake wedding cakes, but they are telling him he cannot discriminate against people because of the kind of wedding it is. I don't understand what's so hard for you to grasp about this simple phrase.
We can cannot allow this to happen. If Jack Phillips doesn't win this case, we are toast.
See, here's the thing though. If you advertise a product, as this man does, and the only reason you won't make it is because of someone's race, religion, or other protected status, then you are engaging in a form of discrimination which is illegal. So if you will make wedding cakes, and you will make custom wedding cakes, but you will not make custom wedding cakes for a gay person, and the only reason you will not do it is because they are gay, then you've got discrimination. You don't have to bake custom wedding cakes. You don't have to offer that as a service.
You see, this isn't about human rights or hating a group of people.
For the most part, you're correct, and that's why the lawsuit doesn't allege such things. That's why we're not discussing whether or not this is a hate crime. We're discussing whether or not it is an illegal form of discrimination.
There's not one Christian baker or florist being sued today by LGBT activists who hates homosexuals.
3 things here. First one, argument ad populum, because it doesn't really matter whether people are being sued or not. It only matters whether this guy is. Second, it doesn't really matter how the individual feels when they're being sued. Everyone in the rest of the world might be a nice person. Everyone in the rest of the world might be doing the right thing. It doesn't mean this guy did. And third, it's a straw man because we're not talking about what other people are doing. We're talking about this case.
This is an art. It is a form of free speech. No one should be forced to speak something with which they disagree.
Again, that's correct. No one is forcing him to make custom cakes.
The First Amendment is on trial in this very important case.
See, here's the thing though. The local newspaper, for example, if these two wanted to put a notice in that they were getting married, the newspaper, being in the industry of print, which is itself speech, would have to print the notice regardless of whether they're straight or gay. The newspaper doesn't have the choice to say, we will not print your notice because you are gay. In this case, the cake baker is claiming special exception that his medium is protected by virtue of him printing it, when the newspaper could not do the same thing. So your First Amendment argument falls flat on its face. Because again, he is like the print shop. He doesn't have to agree with it. But if it is a service he offers, then he must offer it, regardless of whether the person is gay.
Of Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission. You see, more and more often we find that the left only fights for free speech when it's speech with which they agree. They truly are not the tolerant bunch that they claim to be.
And yet here you are, saying that Christians or the right have never selectively petitioned for only some freedoms of speech while quaffing others. Remember the last time the Christians fought for the Satanists' right to have a statue on the courthouse lawn right beside their 10 Commandments? Yeah, me neither.
This is not about same-sex couples wanting the right to love one another. This is about marginalizing and silencing and punishing people of faith.
You see, here's the thing. If you're going to make it about the First Amendment, then you have to go both ways. A shopkeeper shouldn't be allowed to say, I'm not going to give you the service you want because you're gay, or black, or a Jew, or any number of other things. That should not factor in, and the person who is those things should not be made to feel that they cannot say it, or they will be turned away and given no service. I believe you may remember the story of Rosa Parks, who was told that she wasn't allowed to sit on the front of the bus because she was black. And now you have a man saying he won't bake a cake for someone because they're gay. And you don't understand why those two stories are related, I have a feeling.
Guys, this is one of the most important videos I've ever done. This is the Roe versus Wade case of religious liberty, and I'm pleading with you to pray for Jack and his legal team and to donate.
I understand the part about wanting the donations, but the prayer is what always makes me wonder. Do you think your God didn't have control of the situation to begin with? Do you happen to think you know your God's will better than he does? Why on earth would you pray to him if you think he's in control? To change the things that he clearly made happen? I'm curious. But again, I don't understand it, and that's probably why I'm atheist. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. If you enjoyed that, click the thumbs up. If you didn't, click the thumbs down. Leave me a comment down below. And you know what all to do. Share, subscribe, follow, whatever. And as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.